Devil's Lake State Park by Chantel Austin. Nestled between the bluffs in Baraboo, Wisconsin, lies 360 acres of crystal clear water called Devil's Lake. Wisconsin has over 8,000 lakes. This is not Wisconsin's largest lake, nor is it the deepest, but it is one of Wisconsin's most unique. It sticks out among the rest because it was made by a glacier. The outcome of this is a beautiful lake with a curious history that provides unending activities. I find myself at the lake 4 to 5 days a week. When questions arise in my mind, I make my way to the Nature Center located at the north entrance of the park. There I speak with Diane Pillsbury, who has a master's degree in natural resources and forestry, and also A.B. Scott, who has a PhD in environmental and social sciences. I'm excited to inform my audience about this remarkable place from gleaning knowledge that I have obtained over the years from timeless trips to the lake, from Kenneth Lang's book, A Lake Where Spirits Live, with special notes by Ralph A. Tuttle, and from interviewing the Nature Center's naturalist. This lake has a presence that stimulates the senses, it touches the young at heart, and makes them feel alive. Devil's Lake is Wisconsin's most visited park because it draws people's attention to its history, beauty, and activity. I would take you to the lake, but because it's November, actually it's only October, the weather is quite cold, so I drew the lake. Here we have the North Shore and the South Shore and the entire lake itself. Now the lake starts at 10 feet deep and it increases to 40 feet deep in the middle and then back down to 10 feet deep. You can see that we have the East Bluff Trail with highlights like the Balanced Rock, and we have West Bluff Trail with highlights like Rock 8. Here is a bird mound, and a shelter has been put over the feet of the bird mound, which today no longer you would see that. You would no longer see anything inhibiting the mounds. The town of Baraboo is home to over 13,000 people. It is also home to many plant species and animals that inhabit the land near Devil's Lake. This is Wisconsin's second established state park, and it leads all other state parks in attendance. Devil's Lake sees more than 1.5 million visitors a year. There are 2 main entrances leading to the lake. Looking at a map and a compass, we can see the 2 beaches, North Shore and South Shore. 200-foot bluffs line the east and the west sides of the lake. The park is 9,217 acres in size, and the lake, the water, is 360 acres in size. Moving from the physical layout of Devil's Lake, I would like to point out what I consider to be the sheer beauty that makes up the park itself. For example, standing on top of a bluff, looking down at the body of water, or floating in the lake, looking up above at the clouds in the sky, as well as hiking on the multiple trail paths winding throughout the park, one can witness the massive beauty here. Many people come to the lake to view the spectacular scenery. In fact, many artists set up easels and paint away the day. I myself have witnessed several artists painting, and one time I even asked for one of their business cards. Artist Dahl once said, "In all things of nature, there is something of the marvelous." What I find marvelous about Devil's Lake is its presence. In the heat of summer, the north and south beaches are filled with people. Bodies lie under the yellow sun and fill in every inch of warm sand and open grassy areas. The trails are crowded at all times of the day, leading into the evening. But this all changes with the turning of seasons. In the fall, these bodies disappear, and one can walk around the entire lake without passing a soul. It is at this time that the lake feels like one's own home, offering comfort and protection. No one else is here but you. The current existing beauties of the lake help one experience its massive presence. There are a total of 880 different species of plants growing at Devil's Lake alone. Some plant species include armor honeysuckle, wild chervil, wild parsnip, bloodroot, and drooping sedge. Ralph A. Tuttle once said, "The time has come when the great but little appreciated loveliness of these glorious, unassisted natural growths are recognized as surpassing most of the most futile, weakly, artificial attempts with cultivated and unadapted plants." Ferns, witch hazel, dogwood, all grow in the grottos at the south end of the park. Nature's array of flora and fauna offer delights unsurpassed by any arboretum. If you are looking for animals, you will see gray squirrels, white-tailed deer, garter snakes, painted turtles, and red foxes. Popular bird species are cardinals, chickadees, Canadian geese, loons, blue herrings, and ducks at the lake. A.B. Scott states that varied conditions of soil, moisture, and topography furnish a natural environment for a range of flora rarely found in areas of similar size. On the North Shore, hickories, walnuts, and oak trees shed their leaves in October and November, and on the South Shore, maples and birches drop their leaves in early autumn. Hiking trails line the bluffs on the east and west sides, allowing visitors to view the lake from 200 feet above. Quartzite rock lines the bluffs and forms jagged ridges. This geology is utterly amazing. A glacier cut through Wisconsin's Northland and came to a halt once it hit the quartzite ridges. From bottom to the top, the ridge is 800 feet at the peak. The glacier started to melt, and it filled the hollow gorge, creating a lake. This lake is endorheic because it does not have a drainage outlet. It is not man-made. The crystal blue lake covers 360 acres of land, and it has a depth in the middle of 40 feet. Unlike most southern Wisconsin lakes, Devil's Lake has soft water, and because of this, it has some water plants, such as quillworts, usually seen only farther north. Now that I have talked about the beauty, it is time to dive into the history of the state park. The first people residing in Devil's Lake were the Native Americans. Several Native Americans, known as the effigy mound builders, were active at Devil's Lake 1,000 years ago. Effigy mound builders cultivated the earth soil to build mounds into shapes for ceremonial purposes. Effigy mound builders composed these mounds by piling up the ground into small ridges standing no more than 4 feet tall into animals or shapes. All over North America, one can find these rare mounds, but they are most abundant in Wisconsin. These mounds exist at Devil's Lake State Park. One mound resembles a lynx, and it is located by the Nature Center in the park. On the north shore of the lake, a bear mound can be seen, and on the south shore, a bird mound can be seen. To keep these mounds in proper, untouched condition, it is asked that visitors do not step on the mounds. In fact, it is illegal to remove the mounds. Devil's Lake is Wisconsin's most visited park. Teachers and students study the geology and the varying animal and plant species that comprise the park. Now that I have shown you the physical attributes, as well as pointed out the sheer beauty, historical background, and multiple activities at Devil's Lake State Park, won't you please consider visiting this massive gem and be part of the 1.5 million that visit it every year?